evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. on December 1st, 2020. There being 4 members of the Conservation Commission present, they being Melissa Danza, Jared Gentilucci, Skip Clark, and myself, Peter Crane. I declare we have a quorum present, and I am opening this meeting of the Conservation Commission. Let us begin by looking at some minutes. There they are. I'm just going to scroll through this. I have a couple comments. Anybody who also has comments, please speak up. So let's talk about, where are you? Is there anything interesting there? Anything about the Miles Road NOI? Anything about the Viner NOI? Pleasantdale Road. Tamika, cesspool is a single word. So every place where it's in there, just change that globally. It's pretty easy. I know there's another thing that I missed. Anything on Viner Lot 5? Anything on Finn Park Road? Nothing interesting on 61A, wetlands violation, erosion concerns, etc. Oh, that's where the other one is coming from. All the discussions about the covered bridge on River Road. So Tamika, this capital plan should be split into 2 sections. The first one being the capital plan, the second one being the open space and recreation plan. I think I'd like it split right about here.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you. Cell tower. Oh, here comes John. All right. Any other comments or corrections to the minutes? And I'd like a motion to approve the minutes as amended, please.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor. So we'll do a roll call vote. Danza.
Aye.
Gentilucci.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Those are approved. So I guess we're going to reopen the determination of applicability for 229 Pleasantdale Road. Let me pull up the drawing. This is the drawing we were sent before. Jared and I went out for a site walk on that extremely long Saturday set of things we did. Jared, why don't you give a quick report, please?
Sure. So we took a look. This was, again, 229 Pleasantdale Road. And from my perspective, at least, from what I could tell, the wetland line on the plans, we had originally just, not question it, but wanted to take a look at it because the plans are a bit older. I think these were from 2007. But the wetland line that we saw out there looks to be pretty consistent with what is shown on the plans. And again, most of the work is happening on the front side of the house, which is pretty far from the wetlands. So, yeah, everything looked pretty good, pretty straightforward. I didn't have any additional comments on this one.
No, I was pleasantly surprised to see the wetland flags, Julian. It was obvious enough. It was obvious enough for me to see it.
The well stake, because I put that out there too.
Yep, yeah, we saw that too. That was, again, obvious enough for even me to see it. Thank you. So given this, how do we want to deal with this RDA?
Do we want to issue a negative with the condition that erosion controls are installed prior to any construction?
That sounds fine.
Sounds good to me.
So I'll move that.
I was going to say, is that a motion? Good.
Yes.
I'll second.
Anything else we want to put in there? I don't think so, but I'll just ask the question. Hearing nothing, roll call. Denza,
Aye.
Gentelucci,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Crane, aye. All right. Hey, Julian, that was pretty easy, wasn't it, finally?
Thank you.
So now let's reopen the hearing for the NOI for Viner at Lot 5 Emerald Road. This ought to be, yes, this is that plan. Now, this plan is a little complicated for us, not so much because of the placement of the house and the septic, but mostly because of the wetland crossing that takes place in the driveway. Stephen, I see you're here. You want to just take over?
Yes. So we previously had our site walk last Saturday, and after walking the site, there were some concerns regarding the plan. None of those had to do with topography, proposed house location, or the septic itself. We did increase, I believe, on a separate sheet, the replication area for that the crossing to 2 times the crossing amount square footage. And I believe on this lot, that was the only, not real concern, but interest. As you can see, we doubled the replication we were gonna actually take away. So that, as far as this site, was the only change we made.
Let's just go look at this crossing right here. Driveway, steep, workable, and there's just, quote unquote, just that little crossing right there, huh?
Yeah. It's the narrowest point, so it could have been a lot worse. The configurations of the lot definitely helped to have the estate lot located there.
There's a crossing and you're filling this, pretty much this whole space.
Yeah.
And then this is going to be a culvert, right?
Yes, I believe on the detail sheet, it's a 6x6 box culvert.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
And then there's also, because of the grading and the narrowness of that access lot, we had to do 2 concrete head walls. And as we discussed, it does meet the openness ratio for the mass stream crossing standards.
Right.
I believe we also discussed at the meeting bringing that sediment barrier up a little higher. So on the southerly side of the driveway, we did extend that sediment barrier to encompass the newly increased replication area.
Right. It was a little small for me to read. So you kept a single replication area. That's fine. It's clearly adjacent. Okay. DEP did issue comments, but before we get to that, Jared, do you want to say anything about our site walk?
I think based on our site walk, I think all the delineation of the wetlands, that all looked pretty good to me. We did talk a little bit about on the site walk about the area fill, area of replication. That's great to see that you are increasing the replication area. That's very much appreciated. I think that really helps. Trying to think. I don't think there was anything else that really came out of the site walk other than that. Again, all the wetland delineation all looked, it was pretty clear, pretty straightforward from the site walk.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else in the commission have questions?
I think mine just kind of pertain back to the DEP comments.
Yeah.
And maybe response to those.
So let's go and look at the DEP comments. It's recommended that a sedimentation barrier be placed along the up-gradient edge of the wetland replication area following its construction in order to prevent impacts to the replication area during other construction period activities. Recommend that the applicant provide the commission with additional information relating to the proposed replication area, including a listing of proposed native plantings and seed mix, replication area success criteria, and proposed depth of wetland soils within the replication area. Due to the size discrepancy between the impact area and the replication area, thanks for making it 2-to-1, guys. Excavated wetland soils do not appear to be sufficient for replication construction. All supplemental soils should come from a clean source, free of debris, trash, or invasive species, and contain an organic content between 15 and 20%. Does any of that seem to be an issue?
No. Just checking the detail because I don't want to show sediment barriers to on the uphill side. We do show them in the cross section of the replication area. I didn't want to make it seem like they should put, a sediment barrier and then restrict their access to that. We could show it on there and just put a, schedule that it should be installed once the replication area has been, planted, seeded, and stabilized. Let's see, depth of horizons. I could take a look into that aspect of it. And then
there are comments about plant list or seed mix is something I expected to hear from Melissa already.
Yeah, see, our intention was to basically replicate the vegetation that was there, that was removed. Mm-hmm. And also, I believe in the detail it says native species are to be, planted. Did she supply a list of species she would like on that note sheet?
She did not.
So it actually doesn't say native species. It says species grown locally to the New England zone, which doesn't always imply native species. So I typically look for native species that are native per the Go Botany database from the Native Plant Trust. And I think a plant list and planting plan would be beneficial in this aspect in terms of, I think to DEP's comments, for the proposed monitoring period, what I'm used to is that it goes through the 2-year growing period and you have to have a 75% success rate. So there needs to be some sort of planting plan to reference to demonstrate that you've met that 75%. So even if it's, maybe not explicit specifics, but maybe the number and general type of plants that you'll be putting in that area so that there is reference. So when monitoring reports go at the end of each growing season, you can kind of go back to reference the approved species or areas that were going to be planted to ensure that they are growing. Also to demonstrate that you don't have a monoculture going on, that there is still enough biodiversity, and then easier to identify that which plants may not be doing so great if you need to adjust in the future. Because some things just don't adapt even if they're there in a similar space elsewhere on the site. They may not just do very well when they're transplanted or put into that area that you're replicating.
Okay.
And definitely if you're going to be using a seed mix, just giving the spec on that. If you're just using the New England wetland plants or something similar, just providing that spec.
Okay. Yeah, so all that is included in these comments to DEP. So I'll take a look into these comments. One question I had, they make reference to due to the size discrepancy between the impact area and replication area. So we did have it 1-to-1, and the only reason we increased it to 2-to-1 was upon the conservation request. And my question being, should we leave it there or? Yeah,
Do you mean leave the 2-to-1 or change the location?
well, no, my question say they say due to the size discrepancy, and the only reason there's such a size discrepancy was an adjustment made by the Conservation Commission during the site walk. So as far as that aspect of it, we're just going to leave it as is, if that's all right with the commission, because it's upon your request you wanted 2-to-1 replication.
Well, I think DEP's perspective, and please, Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, was that you would take all the soil that was being pulled out because of the
Culvert?
yeah, because of the culvert, and you'd put that and you'd use that as replication fill for the replication area. I think they're just pointing out that there's no way to get that you would need more soil in order to fill the complete area with wetland soil. I think that's their only point.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so
I would agree with that.
That. Is there any recommendations on how I represent that on the plan? Obviously, they're going to have to truck material in.
I think even just a note on that planting plan or something similar saying, yes, soils will be taken or will be trucked in and will meet the minimum requirements, for the, free of debris, trash, etc.
Okay.
And it might just be that the commission might condition, that maybe like the receipt or certification from whoever you bought it from meets these criteria as is submitted to us during that replication construction.
Okay. Yeah, I can absolutely update that to reflect these comments.
And the last comment here that I didn't read before, Mass DEP recommends that the proposed monitoring period for the replication area be extended to 2 years.
Okay.
And that really just means permission to get to the property to evaluate how the replication's taking. That's really all that is. For you and probably for us as well, but I don't think that's a big problem either.
Yeah, I believe it's we state 1 year in our replication detail. I can just update that to reflect 2-year monitoring period.
Right. Does anyone on the commission have other comments, thoughts, or questions?
Peter, the only other thing, this is maybe more of a clerical item, but we may want to, or I don't know if this would be us on our end or the applicant on their end, but the NOI form, WPA form 3, I think it probably still calls out the 2,800 square feet of replication. So just to keep the bookkeeping in order, that probably wants to be updated to the 5,600. That way the plans, because it looks like all the plans have been updated to call out the 5,600 square feet.
Right.
To make it consistent with the plans that were submitted and the detail.
All right. We will update that and return that form.
I noticed Jennifer McGinnis is here. Welcome, Jen. I'm going to let you get a little moment if you have questions or comments about this plan.
I have no comments on this plan.
Okay. What? All right. Do we think we understand the conditions? Let me ask the question differently. Having looked at the plan, done a site walk, are there special conditions we want to put on these orders?
Are you asking in terms of you are thinking of closing tonight or just for the future?
I was, well, we have oh yeah, we clearly have a DEP number. Is there a reason not to close? Would be
Yeah, I think the planting plan stuff,
right. We need that.
that aspect is a bigger concern, I guess.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes. So we do want to see the changes that the DEP called out for in comments. So that's a good reason not to close right there.
I would say a lot of my suggested conditions would probably be following those comments in terms of the restoration protocols for the 2 growing seasons and reports after each year.
Yeah, good. Okay. So if I'll open this up to the public. Does anyone present have questions or comments about this project? Hearing nothing, saying nothing. I'd like a motion to continue this to December 15th, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Danza.
Aye.
Gentilucci.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Okay, so this one's ready to move forward. What's next on our agenda, he says. Oh, that's right, Miles Road. Let me bring that up. Did we open the hearing last time and continue it? I should have looked at the agenda more closely, shouldn't I?
Nope, we did not. A submission last time. This is a new hearing.
This is new, so I'm going to open a hearing for Brian and Anna Shala for lots 1 and 2 on Miles Road for NOI. So this, as you can see, is the project. I could zoom out the map if you want context. Palmagussit Road is, this is Miles. So you follow it up and Palmagussit's just off the map here. Just to place you all. Is there someone here to speak for this project?
Yes, Wesley Fliss, Whitman and Bingham Associates.
Mr. Fliss, welcome again.
Good evening.
So please, go ahead. Since this is the formal hearing, give your spiel.
Sure. So the Ruschel is subdividing their property through the A&R process. Their property is 15 Miles Road. They're creating 2 new lots, which are lot 1 and 2. Lot 1 is just over 2 acres. Lot 1 is just over 2 acres. Lot 2 is about 2.5 acres. They'll keep the remainder of the property, which is on the right-hand side of your screen there. They have an existing single-family home on their property, and they're proposing to create 2 new single-family homes on separate lots. There is a wetland system that runs through the majority of the property. You can see it right there on the top of the screen. We had a chance to walk the property a couple weeks ago. Myself, Peter, and Jared walked the property. I think the wetland delineation was fairly obvious when we walked the property, so it didn't seem like there was any question in regards to the delineation. So we're proposing our 2 single-family lots. The work for the single-family lots will be in the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands. Lot 1 is on your left-hand side. That one actually has less work in the 100-foot buffer zone. The house kind of sits half and half in the 100-foot buffer zone and half out of the buffer zone. All the driveway will be out of the 100-foot buffer zone. And then the site grading to construct that walkout home is in the 100-foot buffer zone. We're going to tie into the sewer at the intersection of Route 56 there and Miles Road with a force main, and we will also, for that lot, have to put in a new water service. For lot 2, we will continue in the manner of connecting into the sewer with a force main, a common force main with lot 1. But we won't have to put a new water service in the street. We'll connect into the water service that was left in Miles Road for this lot. The majority of the work, the majority of the house, all of the driveway, and a fair amount of the site work is in the 100-foot buffer zone for this lot. Again, same thing with this lot. We're looking to construct a walkout basement to minimize the amount of fill that would be required to construct these lots. Lot 1 will have a kind of a drive straight into the garage, where lot 2 will have a drive under garage. Again, and the intent there to minimize the amount of fill that would be needing on those properties. Lot 2 does require a small retaining wall, such that we're not filling wetlands. We're looking at about a 2-foot high retaining wall, and really to be constructed out of just some of the boulders that are out on the property. When we had a chance to walk the property, and I know Peter and Jared get to see, there's some rocks out there that they can use to construct that small little retaining wall, just so that, like I said, we're trying to stay out of the wetlands. We don't want to have to fill wetlands if we don't need to, so we're proposing that small retaining wall to eliminate the need to fill any wetlands in the back there. On the plan, I do show the locations of the erosion control barriers along the slope, the base of the slope, adjacent to the wetlands, so that we're not impacting the wetlands or during construction part of the project. Other than that, it's as straightforward as these lots can get. Like I said, we tried minimizing the amount of site work as much as we could by using the walkout basements, but the lots themselves are steep as you come off Miles Road. So there is some site work needed to construct these lots.
So this looks like the retaining wall is pretty much on, just a few feet. What do we know what the real distance is between the wetland and, it looks like that flag is going to be the close point to that wall. Do we know what that distance is?
Yep. So we're going to be at the closest point. It's about 6-7 feet there.
Okay.
And I know when we had a chance, when we walked the property, you had asked about, what we could do with that. Obviously, if we move the wall further away from the wetlands, the wall has to get steeper, and then we have to start dealing with maybe more of a engineered wall at that point. And so we were trying to keep something more natural there, and not have to do with an engineered wall and a wall with fall protection.
Right. Questions or comments from the commission? Wow, we're quiet today. Is everybody just tired? I'll open it up. Are there questions or comments from the public?
Actually, I do have a comment. Is those slopes in the back, are they just going to be loamed and seeded up to that erosion control line?
Yeah, so we're showing 3-to-1 slopes in the back there, so we're only calling for them to be loamed and seeded at this point. Depending on when they do the construction, if they do run into issues, then they can use the mats, some kind of jute mats or erosion control blankets if needed. But we're showing a 3-to-1 slope, not only for construction purposes but also for maintenance purposes over the lifetime, so that they can get in there and mow the slope if they want to. If they do it correctly, they should be able to loam and seed it.
I think during construction, one thing that I might want to see, I know the topography might not necessarily require it, but connecting those 2 ECB lines, just maybe either horseshoeing the lot, I think lot 2 one up or even just adding, something to connect those two, while the natural drainage might not go that way during construction, things give out with these heavy rains we've been having. So I think they'd want to find the least path of resistance. So just to protect that area, I think having a contiguous line of erosion controls would be good.
That's fine. We have no issue with that.
I think I'm going to ask Melissa's question that I heard a little differently. So we have, first find the mouse, there we go. So we have the 50-foot marker, and I see where you're changing the grade up to the 50-foot. Let's just take lot 1 as an example. Are you planning to loam and seed all the way to the erosion control, or do you plan to stop back here at the 50?
Just limited disturbance. So wherever they need to disturb to grade out, they'll loam and seed, and the rest of it will stay the natural grade where it is there, and even natural growth.
Okay, all right. I think I missed that in the answer before. Thank you.
So it's kind of like in between the 50-foot and the erosion control line, just where it peters out naturally,
Yes.
is where that limited disturbance will be.
May I ask why 1070 is oh, I see. That's just because it's a 10-foot mark. Never mind. I was going to ask why that's a thicker line. Just something that drew my attention to it. Okay. Other questions? Comments? Do I remember seeing DEP numbers for this one? For these two projects?
Yep, we have the DEP numbers for both lots.
Did we get comments from the DEP?
No comments.
Okay. I'd like to, let's ask the right question first. Is there a good reason not to close this hearing tonight and to continue it?
I think as long as everyone's okay with the proximity of the wall.
Yeah, that's probably a good place where we want to have, I'm not sure what the conditions should be, but that might be something we want to talk about. But I do understand that as you said, that the make it much taller, you're going to have to put fall prevention and have an engineered wall instead of a natural one. I do understand that. Okay.
That typically you have, obviously the erosion control barriers installed first, then you inspect the erosion control barriers before construction starts, correct?
Yes.
So I think if you guys are comfortable with the limit of the erosion control barrier adjacent to that wall, at least there's some kind of safety there that, we're not going to go past that wall to construct past the erosion control barrier to construct the wall, and everything will start uphill from there.
Do you have a construction schedule yet, or land clearing?
They do not, no.
Okay. Because they're waiting to sell the prop or to at least get a bite on the property, right?
At least a builder involved with it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They're not going to build them themselves.
Right.
Is there a detail for the type of erosion control you have proposed?
I did not call for a specific one. I guess the reason I left it like that is I didn't know a lot of towns have their own preference. So I guess the question is, do you guys have a preference?
I think for certain areas, compost stocks might be fine, but in that closest spot with the heavy grading, I definitely think at least a silt fence and, wattles,
okay.
Both.
Yep, and I know that's what we've gone to the extent of even doing the bales and silt fence with that proximity to the wetland. So again, we're open to however the commission wants to, even if you want to put a specific condition to that, what they use for road control barriers. They don't have an issue with. Obviously, we're sensitive to the proximity to the wetland, so we have to get to construct the lot. So if that needs to be bales and silt fence, that's what it needs to be to do the construction.
Thanks.
Do we have a preference of bales versus socks or wattles?
I prefer the wattles myself. I like the idea of silt fence with straw wattles. I think the wattles provide a little better protection, less joints, a little easier to install too.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, and if it needs more, then it needs more as construction happens. You know, if we need to put bales in as well. I think the only thing that we explicitly do not allow is hay. We only have straw. So if bales do make it on the property, there's no straw, no hay, sorry. And that is in the special conditions.
Are there other areas of concern that we want to think about conditions for beyond the wall and its proximity to the wetlands?
Not that I can think of.
I'm thinking, okay.
Peter, I did have just one comment, just
Sure.
something I just noticed, which I think we kind of alluded to before in this conversation. And it's mostly on lot one with the erosion control barrier. It's a little further down the slope, a little further down from the limits of regrading. I'm just wondering, would it make sense for that erosion control barrier to hug the regrading a little bit tighter so that it's a little closer to the limit of work, and that way it avoids, because typically with silt fence, you would be trenching to install 4 to 6 inches of the silt fence um, below grade in order to anchor it. So it might make more sense to pull that line a little bit tighter to the limit of regrading so that there isn't any disturbance further down the slope where there really isn't any work going on anyways.
We don't have an issue with that. I usually just leave some space in there for them to be able to maneuver around if they're doing some work down there. But we have no issue if it gets pulled tighter to the limit of grades.
Yeah, I think if they don't need all that room, I mean, obviously, if they need a little more room, then I would leave it. But if you don't think they would need that much room, I would like to see it a little bit tighter to the regrading if that's possible.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. A little bit. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree with Jared on that, and maybe just bring it up a little bit further to the, at least the back corner of the house if it's going to be closer, just to make sure it catches that outside grade. Sorry, words are not coming.
All right. Am I right? Are we ready to close this hearing?
I think so.
All right, let's, how about a motion?
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Let's, do a roll call vote. Stenza,
Aye.
Gentelucci,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Crane, aye. All right, so let's get our thoughts about special conditions to Tamika for the next meeting so we can get them through, okay?
Deal.
Sounds good.
All righty.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Have a good evening.
All right, so now we have gonna open.
Actually,
public-
Peter,
Yep.
sorry, was that 2 NOIs?
Yes, that was lots 1 and 2. I probably should have separated them, but we're going to do.
As long
Yeah.
as we clarify that the motion was for both, that's fine.
Okay, I'll make sure to put that in there, because yeah, there's 2 separate DEP numbers.
Okay. I
Yes.
just needed a sanity check, that's all.
No, you're right. Thanks.
Thanks.
I realized much too early that I opened it for both instead of separating them, but we will do separate votes for the condition for the orders next time. So any ideas you have for special orders, you should make clear in your email to Tamika that it's for lot 1, lot 2, or both.
Okay.
Moving forward, we're going to open a public hearing for the notice of intent for Carol Viner, lot 4 on Emerald Road. Oh, just a second, somebody's joining. And now I can come back and close out this one. Here we go. Stephen, you're back on.
Yes. How is everybody doing?
It's been ages since we spoke.
Yes. All right. You want me to take it away?
Please do.
All right. So again, we had another site walk after 5. We came down to lot 4, adjacent to lot 5. It is a frontage lot on Emerald Road. Previously, I guess there were some concerns about the Zone A and with respect to the septic pipe going from the foundation to the tank itself. We looked into the regulations and had to remove that completely from the Zone A. So we did have to move the house back from the road a little bit. And as you can see, we kind of had to get an angle with a breezeway and garage slab. We also tried to maintain, a distance from the wetland flags 43, 45, and 46. With the grading, we didn't want to make it, too steep being part of the driveway right there. But I think we were able to find kind of a middle ground to try and not grade straight to the edge of the wetland itself. As I said, we're going to do a private well and a septic system with as minimal grading as possible. Sediment barrier going around the entire project for the most part. If there are any questions, I'd like to hear them.
I'll ask my standard question. How close are we from the wetlands to, this is the erosion barrier, right?
Yes.
And it looks like you're grading right up to it. So what's that distance?
I think we had that around 10 feet or so. I know we spoke about 25 feet being, an interest of the commission. However, as I said, with the driveway and, being where it was located, we didn't want to do a steep grade, to cause a hazard for the homeowner in the future. So we do have it. So it's 1 on 3. So it is mowable. And that's as far as we could get it away without being hazardous from the driveway.
Okay. So obviously you've got some fill here because that's how you're going to get the driveway set up. It looks like it's just natural grade on this side. Am I right on that?
So right where
we get to here.
Yeah, where the foundation for the garage, well, not the foundation, the garage slab and the septic system itself, there's like a little saddle right there, a low spot. So we had to build it up as far as grading for the septic, and then kind of the garage, we were able to step the slab down to kind of minimize the fill. And so it is fill around those areas because there is a slight saddle at the point where we had to build.
Right. Okay. That's just the reserve. Questions or comments from the commission?
I think this might be a good instance in which the commission might want to require like pheno spikes that have language, such as wetland resource area, do not go any further. On the east side, kind of maybe near the erosion control barrier, and maybe in that southern corner where it gets pretty close as well. They're pretty they can, or any other type of signage that the commission wants. I like the pheno spikes because they're hard to get out. They're low to the ground, so they're not necessarily a visual impeachment, but you can find them pretty easily because they're like a wide disc on top. Might be something to consider. Lawn encroachment's a lovely thing.
And would that be a condition in the order?
Yeah, so it could be, you could submit a plan after the fact in terms of this is where we're proposing the stakes or signs or something to go, and then the commission can do kind of like a yep, looks great afterwards, and they just have to be installed before the COC is issued.
Melissa, I assume those would be permanent signs and
Yeah.
stakes? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where the pheno spikes, oh my gosh, spikes are a little bit better than like a tree on a sign, a sign on a tree, because trees come down or people can rip them off the trees a lot easier.
Could you repeat that? What are they called?
Pheno, FENO, stakes or spikes. I know that's like a specific brand. There's others out there, but that's the most common that I know of.
Just looking what they would be. Okay. And you would, does the commission have any like requirements on, distance between, said markers along the wetland, or as you said, the east side there, how many there would need to be, or where they would be located roughly?
I would say looking at this, probably at that first bend, usually I like to see the corners, and if there's a long straight stretch, having one in the middle. So probably maybe 5 on the east side and maybe just 1 or 2 on the southwest side.
And where would these markers, again, would you be able to specify this also in the order? We could obviously update it to reflect where they're going, but in the order. The other question is, where exactly do you want them placed on the wetland line itself to mark the points?
I think where you have the erosion control barrier line might be a good way, because that's the limit of work. So you don't want people to go past the already disturbed area. So that kind of keeps them within the grass.
Okay. I could add that.
Foundation, a portion of the foundation.
But I'm fine with conditioning that, instead of just holding off.
Okay.
Other questions or comments from the commission?
Stephen, you might have already mentioned this. I apologize if you did. On the east side of the driveway, what was the slope from the edge of the driveway down to the erosion control barrier?
So that's 1-on-3. So
Okay.
it is mowable, and it's about as steep as we can get without being, as I said, hazardous to the occupant of this house.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds good. That's what I thought you had said or had mentioned before on the you might have mentioned on the site walk too. I just couldn't remember. But that's a pretty gentle slope. That's good, and they can maintain it if they do want to mow it, or if they want to not mow it. That'll be up to the homeowner.
Any questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to open this to the public. Anybody have questions or comments about this?
Can I just see a locus map of exactly where it is on Emerald Road?
That should be one of these. Let me just zoom. Here we go. It's actually right here.
Yeah, I believe it's just if you scroll a little to the right, I believe it's just after Turkey Hill Road. As you go from, yeah.
Is that clear enough, Jen, or do you need more information?
I'm just trying to figure out where it is on the assessor map.
Oh, that's a fair question.
I believe I have the assessor's parcel ID inside the title block. Obviously, these have been subdivided, but the primary parcel before it was subdivided is listed. I believe it's at the top.
Am I missing it? I just don't see it.
Yeah, under Emerald Road, Lot 4, Rutland, Mass. It says assessor's map, I believe 34B, parcel 4.
Oh, there. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's relatively small. But if you go down Irish Lane, Emerald Road kind of takes kind of a little zigzag Z type. It's east of that. Just
Yeah, okay. I know where parcel 4 is.
Are you saying specifically this piece on that major parcel?
Yeah.
So lot 4 is roughly underneath. Obviously, this was created with GIS Oliver. The locus is roughly on top of where the proposed house and septic are going. You can see that dot just to the west of that dashed line. Yeah.
Right. So this dashed line should be this edge of lot 4, correct?
Yes, correct.
And then this down here is all lot 5.
Correct, yes.
So it's 4, 3, 2, driveway to 5, 1, correct?
Yes. So lot 5 actually does not go all the way, believe it or not, all the way to that back lot line there. It actually stops about halfway. There's the other side of that piece, and around these 5 lots, remaining land, which she still, I believe, owns and is in, I believe, DCR, some sort of DCR protection, from my understanding. But everything is in that little kind of piece between the property line and that dashed line in the road.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions and comments? Back to the commission. I know we have to write orders for this, and I can already sense a couple specials. Is there anything else we want to discuss about this lot before? Is there a good reason not to close tonight?
I'm all set.
Yeah, I was thinking this one's pretty clear. We just want to write the orders correctly. All right. I will take a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Denza.
Aye.
Gentalucci.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Okay, that's closed. We will, as with the other lot, send Tamika thoughts and suggestions for special orders, and we'll discuss them and finish that up at our next meeting.
All right. Thank you for your time. Have a good
Thank you very much. So what's, yes, okay, so now we have to open another public hearing for an NOI for 26 Finn Park Road, the L-Bags. This is for the work that they did to repair the wall. I know Mark could not be here tonight. Mark L-Bag could not be here. and he doesn't have a DEP number anyway. We saw the plans before when he submitted but did not actually file an RDA. So I'm not sure how much we want to discuss about this tonight, or because we are going to continue for the next, well, to at least the next hearing until the DEP issues a number. Anybody have thoughts about what they want to, anybody have thoughts about the project as we understand it so far?
It's done.
Yeah, it's done, so.
That's about my thoughts.
All right.
No, they did a good job.
Okay, I'm glad you believe so too. Good. Do we, I'll let the public open up and ask questions if they like. Seeing nothing, I'd like a motion to continue to December 15, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Danza,
Aye.
Gentelucci,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Crane, aye. We are continued. That one didn't take long, that's nice. Okay. Now we need to go over the orders of conditions for the Blair project on Finn Park Road. Tamika, you got some special orders, probably from Melissa, right?
Yeah, I do not have those typed up yet. I received from Jared, I have them, and Melissa sent over her special conditions today. So I can get those typed up and added to the, boilerplate ones. I just don't have them typed for you guys to look at right now.
I'm gonna
I
have
can
one
read what
more.
I sent.
That'd
That
be
makes
great.
it easier. Okay, hold on one sec. I put natural vegetation shall be kept to the greatest extent possible with extra care for the flat area by the pond to house the well. This area should be immediately stabilized following the installation of the well. Vegetation larger than 4 inches in diameter shall be approved by the commission prior to removal if not designated on the approved plan. And then only native plants shall be used within the 50-foot buffer zone and shall remain a condition in perpetuity. I didn't know if we wanted the
condition too, if you guys wanted me to read what Jared sent me.
Yes, please.
Jared said the perimeter erosion control barrier shall consist of silt fence and straw wattles. A double perimeter erosion control barrier shall be provided along the southwest edge of the property where it is closest to Demon Pond.
Okay. I had my own thought about a special order that, of course, I haven't emailed into you, Tamika, because why would I do that? Do we want to condition a tailings pit when they do the well?
Yep. Yes, we do.
And I think we want to condition that the tailings pit would be upland of the well location with respect to the water, to the pond. More than that, I don't know that we need to condition the size. But am I wrong about that?
No, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to condition the size, Peter, because we don't really know what size it would need to be anyway. So it's probably better not to.
And I sure don't want to act like I'm an engineer here. So, okay. So, any other conditions? We have a hand raised. Just a minute. We'll get to questions in a minute. But I just want to deal with the special orders here first. Any other special orders? Hearing nothing. So Karen Schmidt raised her hand. Karen Schmidt sent a nice email that I have been unable to respond to. And Karen, I apologize for that. I've been trying to call you for a week and a half. So I'm not ignoring you, even though it looks like it. So please ask your questions.
Yeah, no problem. And I apologize if I'm not supposed to speak now. I don't know how all the order of these meetings goes, and I know last time nothing was said about taking, like, hearing people before you closed. So I didn't know you were taking a vote. I don't know if that's how that worked, or if this is a final vote for tonight. I'm not sure. So I just was very curious about something, though, and one of the things I had hoped to ask about, and that is, I'd spoken to people both at the DCR and the DEP, and it was explained to me the differences, because this is, as I said, this is all new to me, and I know there's some overlapping between the two. I did speak to Alan Runtala, and I know he's a colleague with Jennifer McGinnis, so I'm hoping Jennifer can help me out here with this. I'm just very confused about something, and it apparently, I know I had asked way early on when this first came about, I had heard that there was, you weren't allowed to build within, I guess it was 100 feet setback of the drinking water system, because Demon Pond is part of as a tertiary feeder to the Quabbin. And when I spoke to Alan Runtala, he did say that you're not allowed to build if you have within that, if I'm correct, and as I said, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're not allowed to build within 100 feet of that unless you're grandfathered in, and you have to own a property prior to 92. And if so, you're grandfathered in. But from what I understand, that this lot was, because, was, I guess, purchased on on August 30th of 2016. That's not before 92, and it has not been grandfathered in. So I'm not sure where the rules or laws stand for all this, and I'm just curious. And that was one of the things that I was hoping to talk to you about, because I just was not sure where all this stood, and I didn't know, I don't want to misspeak or speak out of turn, or, but I just wanted to kind of get some idea of where that stood, because if that's a rule, I'm not sure what, why the building is being allowed to go forth on that. And I'm just wondering.
Do you want me to say something, Peter?
Yeah, Jen, if you'd start, and I'll just pick up as soon as I'm ready to. Thanks.
Okay, so on the Watershed Protection Act, we have a 200-foot no disturb and a 400 in the next 200, which would be the outer two, which is 400 feet, to minimize impact. However, if the lot was in existence before 92, regardless of the owner, so if it was just a lot, it does have an exemption to the maximum extent practical. As far as I know, to date, Alan has not received an application from the builder to build on the lot, because we would be looking to minimize impact and push the house most likely as far away from Damon Pond as possible. But we haven't, an application hasn't come into DCR yet, but there is an exemption for a lot in existence, regardless if it changed hands, as long as it was a lot before 92. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I believe so. I thought it was that you had to have owned the property or had been in your family before 92 in order to be able to build on it, unless there was existing septic or existing footprint. And that's how it had been described to me. So that's why I was trying to figure it out. I know that's how everyone in the area that, it owns residences there. That's how they all have known the rule, or, that's what they were told was their building, limits in that area. So that's why I'm confused.
I can double check with Alan, but as far as I understand, as long as the lot was in existence before 92, you're okay. The difference would become if you subdivide the lot. So if you have a larger lot, then you subdivide a parcel off and you want to give it to, like your child to build a house. We do allow like a one exemption to build. Does that make sense? So maybe that was where the confusion was.
Right, but because he did, it did say, I had been told that it was, and I believe he's the one that had told me that, you had to actually have purchased the lot before 92, and it can be passed down from the family. But if you've sold the lot, if it's been sold, like, as I said, in this instance, the lot changed, hands in 2016. That was only, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So that shouldn't be allowed to be built on, because it is within the the Quabbin Reservoir, the tertiary feeder in that area. So I was just trying to figure all that out. I just wanted to make sure, that I had it correct, because I don't want to misspeak on something.
Yeah.
So that's trying to figure it all out, and I know I was just confused about everything.
Yeah, so we're still looking for an application from the builder for that. We're also a direct abutter, and although it's nice to think all butter notices would eventually get to me, I don't remember seeing a butter's notice sent to DCR. But doesn't mean it didn't come to our Boston office and didn't get forwarded off to me during this time. But like I said, we're still waiting to see a application from the builder on it.
Oh, okay, so that would go directly to Boston, and it wouldn't go to the Quabbin region for the
No,
DCR.
well, the application would go directly to Allen and Quabbin. I was looking to see the butters notice to us, but like I said, sometimes they just don't. That would probably go to Boston. And sometimes with the mail, we don't get it right away. But
okay, all right.
I'm not sure if it was sent or not.
Okay, all right. I was just curious.
Yeah, so we would most likely allow some type of structure, but with the maximum extent practicable to remove it from the edge of the pond.
Okay, so that's interesting, because everyone in that area thinks that you have to have the existing structure or septic in order to build, and that's how it was described to me too when I spoke to Alan. So that's why I was just trying to figure it out.
I can talk to Alan in the morning and clarify. With him, the septic though, that's under Title V. They'll need a variance from the state, not from the local.
Right, Board of Health
for that.
Right.
Yeah, because it's within a zone A, which is a drinking water source. So they'll need an exemption from the state, from DEP Central Region.
Right, which I realized that, but I was just curious because this was supposed to be separate, because as I was trying to figure out the difference between DEP and DCR, so it was explained to me, and that's all part of this whole process is how they were explaining it to me.
Yeah, different regulations, but
right.
But yeah, I can clarify with Alan tomorrow on that. But usually, I've never seen it where the lot can't switch hands. So.
Yeah, I thought it had to be switch hands within the family. That was my okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Last week I didn't know if it was going to a final vote, and I didn't realize that, and I was not the only one. Some other people, because nothing had been said. So I do apologize for speaking. If I was not supposed to speak out of turn tonight, I wasn't sure how that all, worked.
That is not a problem at all. We are always trying to be open to the public here. Last meeting was also under a time pressure that we got through everything, but it was still a time pressure meeting just because of other time commitments. So, and my last comment is the differential. Everything you say, even if it were correct, is watershed protection, not wetlands protection. And so it doesn't impact our hearing.
Yeah, I just like to hijack your hearing, that's all.
That's right. Hey.
I'm sorry.
That is not a problem. I just want to make sure that Karen understands that even in order to build, they have to get a number of permits, and one of them is called an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission to deal with wetlands. But they are going to have other watershed-based permits they need to deal with in order to build on the property, as well as Board of Health, and there are enough permits to fund a nice department from this project.
I'm sure. So you're talking wetlands, not watershed.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying, and I do apologize. As I said, I've been very, very impressed with, I've never listened to meetings. I know my dad has been on different boards of different organizations and stuff, and it's always interesting to hear his side being, ahead of something like that. But it's been very interesting to listen to these meetings, and I do thank you all for all your, work and service that you do, because I know it's, something that can be time consuming. And as I said in my letter to you, I do appreciate everything you guys have done, because it's been very eye-opening and interesting to listen. But I've just been very curious to how this all fits together.
Right.
Considering we live right there, and what we've been told our whole lives, having lived right there with everybody else, it's interesting to see what we've been told, if it's correct or not correct, or how it all fits in. So
I think it might, under the watershed, I think it's just a misunderstanding, and I'll talk to Alan in the morning and encourage you to reach back out to him for clarification. if you want. But that's not normally the way we interpret it. I think it was just a misunderstanding. So.
Okay, yeah, because I did written down some notes and I'm trying to figure out, I'm thinking that's not what I've been told, but maybe I'm wrong. So I just wanted to verify. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Great. Any other questions before we finish up this project's orders of conditions? Hearing nothing, I believe that we've said aloud all the special orders that we want. So I think that we can go ahead and have a vote to approve the orders.
What do we want the tailings pit one to say?
Oh gosh, now I've already forgotten what I said.
Sorry.
That's okay. I wrote it down. Let me type this what you wanted. To have a tailings pit for the well, upland of the well location with respect to the pond.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to, word it a little bit differently, but that was the basic gist of what Peter had said.
What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, I don't know if we want to I don't know how much grip really saying as upland as possible really does anything, but
Yeah.
it's nice to say, but realistically, how upland can he really be with that well location, which is it's a difficult slope terrain area to maneuver. So
Right. So we'll change it not just to say upland. We'll say as upland as practicable from the well with respect to the. Do we want to say pond or water?
Water.
There you go. Got that, Tamika?
Yeah. Are you guys okay with once I write up the special conditions and the order of conditions, if I shoot it off to you guys to take a quick once over before I have Peter come sign it? Just to make sure that I have it right. Okay.
Does that mean that we should not vote tonight?
Well, I mean, I typically don't prepare the order of conditions until after you guys vote anyways. I think that I'm finding with this new remote model and where we're not signing in person, I think when we're adding special conditions, like for next time, I'll prepare it ahead of the meeting so that you guys can actually review it at the meeting and then we'll be good to go. But I'm just thinking in this case, like if it was standard boilerplate, no big deal, but I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable that I included everything properly.
Yeah, and if you want to, I guess, avoid open meeting law, if you just want to send it, to one of us, if you want to send it to me or Peter, then that's
what I was thinking too. But then again, if you guys want to push it to the next meeting, I certainly don't think that they are in a rush for this. So it's completely.
It has to be within 21 days.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you, Melissa.
That was exactly the problem. I was worried about our timeline.
Okay. Yeah. So is it okay if I just send it maybe to Melissa and Peter to just give it a once over, and then Peter, we can figure out when you'll sign?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the only one that we don't have written is the tailings pit one. So
yeah, I'm basically just copying and pasting, but just to be sure, I just want to have another set of eyes.
I'm good.
Sure, that's fine. So I think we can vote. Right, because we'll do it based upon what was read to us and what I've dictated to Tamika. So I'd like, please, a motion to sign the order of conditions with, how many special orders did we have?
3.
3. With 3 special conditions as, and allowing me to sign on behalf of the entire commission. There.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Danza.
Aye.
Gentillucci.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. Okay, that's 1. So next we've been asked to do a certificate of compliance for 38 Brintnal Drive. 38. Oh, that was a special lot, wasn't it, Jared?
I can't remember, was it?
I think 38 is the one that had the fun problems where it smelled like septic And then I thought you went out and
Yeah.
visited him for something.
I did. Yes. I think you're right. I think that is one and the same. I'm trying to remember. Oh boy, I'm trying to remember the homeowner's name now, and I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, I know.
That was a while ago. That was a number of months ago.
So Tamika,
Did he ever resolve the problem with his septic?
he never had a septic problem. His
Oh,
whole
that wasn't the
problem-
one where there was a flow coming out from underneath it?
Yes, and it's because it's very steep off the road.
Okay.
And so the water was flowing into what was basically some buried.
The stumps and stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
All that building detritus, and that was rotting and causing his problem.
Okay, yeah, I went out with DEP. I remember that. That was. Did he resolve the issue? Hopefully.
Yes.
Good.
My best recollection at this point, Jared, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this has gone away.
Yes, it has. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. But yes, the builder moved. They re-excavated and pulled all the stumps out. I think they ended up putting them because the builder still owns the adjacent lot to the east, I believe. If I have my directions correct. And they pulled all the stumps out and then just kind of piled them up on the surface on the adjacent lot since they owned it and it was right there. And then they backfilled the area. I believe they backfilled it with clean fill. And my understanding from meeting with the homeowner is that there wasn't an issue with the smell anymore after they completed the work. So I
Great.
do
Okay.
believe they are all
Thank
set
you.
now. Yes.
Okay. Do we know? No, well, actually, this is from the COC would be from Blair. I'm wondering if we want to delay this for a meeting so we can do an official reach out to the homeowner. Well, several of us have already been on site. So we understand the condition of the lawn, the condition of the slopes and how all that looks. What were you going to say, Tamika? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I didn't know if you noticed that there was also an as-built letter that he had provided too that I stuck in the drive.
Oh, I had not. Just a second. Let me pull up. How many different places do I have? Hello, where'd you go? Oh, you're behind this window, Eric. Oh, there it is. Here comes an as-built, I hope. Oh, it's a cert.
Yeah, that's all it was the letter that, I don't know if it's proper to say the as-built certification or not use the word as-built because it's not a plan. So I apologize if I used the wrong phrase.
That's okay. I vaguely remember that I did look at that and say, that's not an as-built, but it's according to the plan, according to the engineer. When was this signed? Is he already retired? Oh, from April. Gosh, that's early. So, what do we want to say about this? So do we want to I don't have a problem if we want to just vote on the COC based on the number of times so many commissioners have been out to the site. But if we want to delay to reach out to the homeowner, make sure one final blessing before we move on with this, that's okay with me too. What is the board's desire?
Peter, why don't we reach out to the homeowner?
Okay. Jared, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, it's like I said, it's been a while since I've been out there. My recollection is that their yard was pretty well stabilized, but again, it was many months back. It might have even have been. I'm trying to remember now. It might have even been fall of last year potentially. My memory's not so good anymore. So I agree with Skip. It probably makes sense for us just to get a recent set of eyes on it, just to make sure.
That's fair.
I was also just curious, Peter. I don't know if you know this or maybe somebody else does. Is the order of conditions for this particular lot, do the conditions require an as-built plan?
It just
No.
required a statement.
Just a
I just
statement.
looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, I wasn't sure if the statement sufficed or if we would want to push for an actual plan, but if it only requires a statement, then that's good.
Yeah, I think unless I agree, reaching out to the homeowner, you know, just to make sure that the issues that he had been dealing with was resolved. I think that would be the only thing that if it wasn't resolved, maybe we'd push a little bit more for the as-built plan. But that's my, yeah, it just does required just a statement.
Okay.
Stamped and signed, which it is. So.
Okay, so I think we will push it off a meeting. Who'd like to go out to either call or visit? Looking for a volunteer who's not me.
Does anybody have the email address or the name of the applicant? And I could initially reach out to see if they wanted to meet in person or if they would just allow you guys to, you know, do a drive-by. Or I didn't know if Jared or anybody had any contact info for them.
I'm trying to find it right now, Tamika.
His name was Andrew. Last name starts with a B. I don't know if I want to say it over the public interwaves, but or if he cares.
You can always check the registry of deeds too.
So it's Andrew Brandt.
Oh yeah, yep, that rings a bell.
Well, he's on record with the Concom just because of the problems that he had. So I'm public record. So I don't think naming his name is a problem today.
Just making sure.
I was just checking my email to see if maybe I had communication with him, but I'm not getting anything with that name.
Actually, you know what? I can do that. He lives so close to me. I can literally get there in 3 minutes. So I will visit him sometime in the next 2 weeks. And I will bet it'll be at the end of next weekend when I'm on vacation again. All right, so I'll do that. We'll keep this going and deal with the certificate next time. All right?
I have an email for him, Tamika, if you want to contact me tomorrow.
Oh yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Jen.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Brice Lemon Estates. So, the day after our last meeting, where are the photos? Where did they go? Uh-oh, I had them. I went out and visited Brice Lemon to look at the, that's the one. To look at the problems that we saw. So I don't have the befores handy. I just didn't have time today. All right, so let me actually pull up a decent map of this area so you all can see it and understand what I'm talking about here. This one. Right. Is this one? Yes, okay. So as you look here, let me actually pull up this so you can at least, so this is the giant detention pond that we've all looked at. There was a problem why do my lots all go away?
They're there, they're just in yellow.
Just really hard to see. Right, so this is obviously a very old photo because there's a house here and there's a house here and there is going to be a house, you know, must be Upland, it's got to be right around here. That in fact is pretty far along now, but looking down this hill, am I in the right spot? I think I'm off by a little because I shouldn't be that close to this. Must have been, because here the wetland. See, there I am trying to be clear. So what has happened is that this slope was not well preserved, and so there was a bit of runoff. Let me just actually advance the picture, advance a couple pictures. So standing at the lot, there was actually one problem here that Jared and Melissa saw, or maybe it's right here. And there was another one that happened after you guys saw it that was right over here. So this is, there is a driveway behind me in this picture. And the driveway ends up slopes, and all the water went to here and caused this problem when it ran down, and this one was caused earlier. Same basic problem, just the slope was a little different because the driveway wasn't completely done and the house lot wasn't completely level. So it first went through here and then went through here and took out a portion of the fence. So they've done a couple things to fix. One is from the edge of the driveway all the way down, they put in a bunch of riprap and a couple more retaining walls. Well, not walls, excuse me, fences. So this whole area, which you're about to see, yeah, this this was actually put up to sort of prevent so much water from throwing so much siltation into the wetland, which is a couple feet behind this fence. This is the other one. So 15 feet away, where this had already been emptied. It had been hand dug out to get everything that breached the barrier out. They dug by hand and removed. They did that for both breaches, and then they put in, replaced the original silt fence, put in new hay bales, straw bales, I hope actually, and then put in a second siltation fence. So I'm standing opposite that pile of rocks that I showed a couple photos ago. These are not well organized, and I haven't taken the time to look at this a lot, other than to say we're going to keep seeing a lot of siltation fence. So this is what happened with the original breach that Jared and Melissa saw. And once I pointed it out to him a couple of weeks ago, where I showed him, Tom Larson, who's the project manager, what you guys saw, he said he got right on that. So this has not only been hand cleared out, you can see that leaves have been falling and branches and twigs, so it's sort of returning to its natural state, as it were. This is same idea, just right up against the siltation fence, and it's possible to still see where some of the stuff had come through, but it's done. Tamika, did you get the report that they wrote?
Yeah, it should be in the drive.
Should be in the drive, all right. So there are going to be a bunch more photos that just show everything from every angle I could think of. This is the limit of the breach, which, as you could see from that photo before, was 15 feet or so from the fence, but they cleaned it all out. And we're just going to see more of the same. So let me actually pull up the restoration narrative. There it is. So I don't know if you guys read this in advance of this meeting. Do I need to read this into the record?
Peter, did you see anything further down on the wood side towards the end of the phase? Because I think that's where, and Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lot more direct wetland impact that I think was more of the concern.
Yeah, that's what I remember too, Melissa. That
Yeah.
there were a couple of spots where there was a breach of the perimeter barrier. The one closer to the pond was, not too bad. And I think, Peter, that's the one, the pictures you just showed. I think that was that area. But yeah, the further down, that's where Melissa and I saw that there was more migration of sediment into the wetland area, and it seemed to go pretty far back.
Okay, so I think that Jared and I should get together and just do a fast walk of whatever I've missed in the past. We tried to do that before, we got something. So, because we need to see that it's all gone. I didn't notice anything else when I walked it. And I walked along the siltation fence, but that doesn't mean I didn't miss something. So Jared, why don't you and I get together sometime, maybe this weekend. Doesn't have to be a 10 a.m. Saturday if you like.
I love 10 a.m. on Saturdays.
Yeah, I will say is I'm going to ask a silly question. What's the weather going to be like?
It's gonna rain.
Of course it is.
Oh, perfect. Makes it easier to see where the water's flowing.
Yeah. And I'm semi-functional too now, so if you need me, just let me know.
If you'd like to come, please don't avoid the walk if you're ready to walk.
I can walk a greater distance.
Yep. Oh boy, is that rain.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty wet.
Jared, well, the good thing about, the bad thing is getting down there. The good thing is we'd see anything in motion.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not on the weekend. Are you available Monday, maybe?
Let me see.
Of course, I'm not looking at my work calendar, so it's all going to be magic guesswork anyway. Oh, and Sunday's going to be cold and rainy. Ew.
I could probably do Monday, Peter, if it's late in the day. Maybe that might be too dark by that point.
That's the only problem.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Mondays are always tough for me. I tend to have a lot of meetings and calls on Mondays.
Yeah. Well, Friday the rain start. Is Friday better?
Let me see. Actually, yeah, Friday would work better. Maybe sometime I don't know, 1 or 2. Would that work?
Yeah, that'll work for me.
Okay. I think I can make that work.
I will put it in my calendar right now.
We want to say 2 o'clock. That should give us at least 2 hours of sunlight, which I'm assuming we won't need 2 hours. We'll probably need maybe one, but
I'm hoping we don't need 2
yeah,
hours.
yeah.
Well, let's not make it 7 p.m. Let's make it 2 p.m. 15 will be good enough. There, good. All right, now you're in my calendar. As long as I didn't make it. Yes, I did not make it 2 a.m. Awesome. All right, so I'd like very much to get together to make sure that action number one, I want another set of eyes on what they did, bucket out to make sure that everything's fine with what they did. And then number two, to see if there's another area that they need to be concerned with.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, once they cut in that driveway, they created a whole nother set of problems for themselves, and therefore for us. So I think, I don't know we have a lot more to say about Brice Lemon, other than I have a bunch of photos to put up on a Google Drive for other people to look at. So one day I will organize my great cache of photos for everyone. Melissa, is this what you would expect from a report like this? And is this sufficient, or do we want more?
For the actual wetland impact, I'd say no. I mean, I think there's a lot bigger of a problem than you've seen. And it would require definitely a comprehensive restoration plan because it's actually working within the wetland area.
Okay. All right, and we will continue this discussion next time. And Jared and I will get together and figure out how bad things are for us. Anything else on Brice Lemon today?
Peter, did we
Yes.
want to discuss the emergency certification? I don't know if it was in Brice Lemon, but
It's actually not. That's part of Noble Hill, and that's where we're going next.
oh, Noble Hill. Okay, never mind.
It's okay. Let me actually pull up, my friend, the agenda. Because before we get to that, we have to talk about the complaint that we received about dirt bikes, ATVs, something, and then a bridge put in. This is on Palmagussit, right?
Nope, this is Glenwood.
On Glenwood, my mistake.
It's on Glenwood Road, yes.
Okay, my mistake. So, Skip, if I remember right, you went to talk to Mark about this and take a look?
Yeah, I talked to Mark, and it's, in my opinion, and it doesn't mean much, it's nicer that his kids are riding their bikes over a little bridge or dock, if whatever you want to call it, than through the little stream that's down there. But I personally don't see any harm, and I didn't take any pictures, but I should have probably.
Does somebody remember the address? I just want to pull it up
It's
here.
I think it's one. Is it 198? I think it's 198 Glenwood.
I'm 199, so he'd be 194 or 93, or tell you in a minute.
This one kind of looks like it.
184, I think, or 186.
No, it's got to be this one because there's the brook.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got to be this one.
It's
Yeah, the complainant was 188, I think. 184. Anyway, go ahead. Continue what you were saying, Skip, please.
well, if you look at this down by the road. That's where he got that little bridge. You can see it from the street. It's neat. It, appearance is neat. It's not sloppy, not a mess. And the kids ride their bike up along the edge, across the brook and up along the edge of the property line, and then back. And
Okay.
I personally, I don't see a problem, but it's, I think it's, I'll keep my mouth shut. Go ahead. I think it's a McCoy and Hatfield situation.
Okay, so, come on, highlight, there we go. There's gotta be a culvert under here, right? I assume.
There's a culvert right where you're flicking that little line,
Yeah, okay.
and it's about a 4 foot culvert, I believe.
So Melissa, what are we supposed to do about this?
I mean, technically, any disturbance or alteration of wetland resource or the buffer zone requires a permit.
Right. And that would include the bridge.
Yeah.
And I would assume would include on some space on either side of this brook. I assume that's Muskogee Brook.
Mm-hmm.
How big is the water channel there, Skip?
Oh, if it's 3 feet, it's a lot.
Okay. Is there any indication about how long that bridge has been there?
Oh, I'd say it's been there for, I don't know.
Yeah, all right.
Look back at my emails. I'm not sure if she referenced it. I want to say she said recently that it had happened, but I could be wrong. I'm just gonna go back and look now.
I think in spring, but not sure.
All right. So, well, we know Mark's got to be here to deal with his NOI.
I mean, do we want to start the process and have Tamika write up kind of like a formal letter to email him saying
That's really what I'm thinking is what we have to do now.
the commission has identified a potential violation. Please come to our next meeting to discuss.
That's probably the best letter we can write today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first step we do in any violation is, we've
Yeah.
identified this, come talk to us and we'll move from there.
All right. Tamika, you can write that? Need help from Melissa?
I'll probably have her double check it before I send it off, but yep, I can do that.
All right, that's fine. So we'll start that. It doesn't sound like something is so emergent that we have to drop, that we have to drop a big hammer right today. Right? I mean, that's
I
what
wouldn't
it
think
sounds
so.
like.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's write the letter. Let's move on from there, and we'll have a nice long discussion next time about this. Other questions on that? We might make it in less than 2 hours, because I think the agenda's done. So now we just need to add the stuff that came in at the last minute. And it includes, Main Street, Chernock Hill, and across the street across Main Street from Charnock is the development of Cleve Blair's called Noble Hill that's not being developed yet. But Cleve noticed that there was a lot of that water had increased dramatically on the property because of beavers. So we went to the Board of Health, and they're doing a beaver removal. And so they sent us this neat little emergency certification form. Is there really a threat to human health and safety? Board of Health says so, so I'll say sure. And I'm pretty sure this is just the breaching of the dams. That's trap, remove the beavers, transplant them somewhere else, and breach their dams. I believe that's all that this is.
So they will kind of be, for better lack of words, smashing the dam?
Yes,
Okay.
that is my understanding. At least that's the description that they gave without any detail of exactly what work they're going to be done. Oh, but then I guess work to be allowed is what we would fill in if we wanted to. So let me think, what's the date on this form?
So this would be something that we would sign. So it's the dates that we stipulate.
Oh, so it's emergency, but they haven't done it. Okay.
Yeah, because this is what we would issue. This is our form. So I'm assuming Board of Health just sent it to us to approve and send back to them.
That's the way it looks like it, because they did say it's from them. So if the Board of Health says that it's a threat to human health and safety, who am I to disagree?
Peter, I would just add, I don't necessarily know that this form was filled out by the Board of Health because this actually came from Karen in Blair's office. And I know sometimes she fills out the forms. So I don't know specifically if maybe she got that from what the Board of Health said. But I imagine we probably just want to double check everything on the form.
Here's where I know a little bit. And removing beavers is a non-trivial problem that the state takes very seriously. And the only reason that the Board of Health will be allowed to do it is there was in fact a threat to human health and safety. Now, I'm thinking somebody at 40 Prescott Street would have really enjoyed this a few years ago to solve her problem, that she wouldn't have had wetlands at her back door now. But knowing that the Board of Health must be involved, though, you know what, we should reach out to them anyway.
Yeah, because emergency certs can be issued by one member of the board. So if this is being something that the Board of Health is doing soon, and it's something that the Board of Health is stating will be done, is doing, requiring, etc., I wouldn't have a problem with Peter signing off on the emergency cert and then us ratifying it at the next meeting. But if it's just kind of been stipulated by the property owner without kind of having an approval from the Board of Health yet, then it's kind of a moot point because they're only supposed to be good for 30 days.
Right. So Tamika, I'm going to ask you to send an email to the chair of the Board of Health and the health agent, asking if they are planning to do this, and if so, when.
Sure, I can do that.
And then I can sign the emergency, as Melissa said, I'll just sign the emergency cert if they're really going to do the work. And I assume they've already done it, but let's stop assuming.
Okay, and then I'll just add it to the next agenda to kind of close that loop then?
Yes, please. Exactly.
Okay, sure.
And just CC me on it, and so that I know what they say when they respond. I hope.
You got it.
Okay. So, believe it or not, That's everything I know of. Is there any other business to come before the commission? Tamika, have I forgotten anything today?
Yes. So this afternoon, this was a very last minute thing. This afternoon, I received a notice of intent from Julian for a lot on Campbell Street. So I just wanted to ask you guys, do you want it to be just a submission for the next meeting? Or are you comfortable with me doing the publication and opening it as a hearing? Because he did get it to me in time.
I'll tell you what, let's take a look at it right now and see if we want him to talk more.
He CC'd you on the email, Peter, so you should have it in your email.
Ugh, and they are in the way. Julian. 3 attachments. Let's go with that one. Really? Oh, maybe we're zoomed in too far. What? All right, that was not as informative as I would like. Oh, this is the NOI itself. Let's see if you have. Of course, the third one is the one that I should have opened, right? There we go. Oh, just up from Campbell Court, okay. Oh, so they're right off Campbell Street. Oof, 15 foot. 400 secondary protection zone. Would the commission prefer to do a submission next time and the hearing the time after? Or do we know enough, do we think, so because we have the documentation, to just have the hearing next time?
I would just have the hearing next time, since we're supposed to schedule it within 21 days of a complete submittal anyways.
That's true, and we're now out of the time when we can just hold off meetings forever.
Yep.
So, yeah, go ahead and run the ad.
Okay, I'll run the ad and I'll reach out to Julian and let him know. And then I assume you guys will schedule the site walk at the next meeting.
This one's pretty close to the road. In fact, it's right up to the road. Anybody feel like taking a chance on next weekend for a site walk? Which would be December 12.
Wouldn't hurt asking Julian if he's available before. I'm sure he'd want to get it over with to speed things up.
Yeah.
Sure, I can reach out to him. Do you want to tentatively do the 12th at 10 a.m. and see if that works for him?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll do that and then I'll let you guys know.
What's the address on this thing? I've already forgotten. Well,
I know it's at Campbell Street. I don't lot A, I think.
it's Campbell Street, a little north of Campbell. So it shouldn't be hard to find. I've probably seen the stakes. All right, so we will tentatively schedule that for December 12 at 10 a.m. Anything else, Tamika? Is that really it this time?
No, I think that's really it. I wanted to see how close to 8 we could get.
Final countdown.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? Hearing none, I will accept a motion.
So moved to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
That's right. Let's not everybody fight over it now. Roll call. Danza,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Crane, aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all so very much.